Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, just wanted to give a few quick thoughts on the Lakers. I'm waiting on my Uber to get here. It's probably about 7 minutes away or less. But yeah, we got our butts kicked yesterday by the Orlando Magic. I'm still a little perturbed about just the rotations in general. I really want us to consider incorporating two players back into our rotation. One of them being Dalton Knecht. Dalton Knecht has been shooting better as of late. When we were out several players, he was gaining his confidence. Shots started falling. He had been in a very long and extensive slump for a good portion of February, and without minutes on top of that, he was coming in sparingly. When guys went down with injury, suddenly we were able to see him more consistently, and he looked pretty good out there. We started to remove him from the lineup over the last 2 games, and I don't necessarily think it's the right play for our overall offense, for which it suffered a little bit. Our defense has been suffering even worse, but just, attaching the possibility of solutions to whatever we can, I think Dalton Knecht can really help us offensively, especially since he's been able to snap out of that slump. We're leaving a lot of meat on the bone as it pertains to that young player. He needs to get back out there. The other guy is somebody whose two-way is getting ready to expire rather soon, and that is Trey Jemison. Big body dude. We know what he can do. He's a rebounder, a good screen setter, somebody who's an enforcer, somebody who's going to push people around and take on punishment that we don't want LeBron and Luka to have to take on, that we don't necessarily feel that some of our other players are capable of taking on. He takes on those punishments and has provided a certain winning enforcement mentality that I think is missing from our rotation. And in the games that we've lost, he has not been a part of it. I think the Lakers could be on the verge of waiving him, and I think that, or potentially allowing his thing to expire without re-signing him, since the rumors are they're only going to be waiving 2 players to retain 2 players. So I'd imagine Jordan Crawford's probably the most important player, but then we look at a guy like Koloko or a guy like Jemison who would fill out that second spot. So one of those 2 are not going to be there, and I'm wondering which one the Lakers are going to choose to keep. I'm hoping at this point that we can waive 3 people so that we can keep all 3 of those guys. I don't think our team is better without them, especially with our center position issues. Of course, it's understood that Cam Reddish and Lynn are likely the players the Lakers are going to waive, which we can live with. But what we cannot live with right now is to continue bleeding at the Lakers on the defensive end, and ultimately us losing basketball games. It's been a strange stat that's been thrown out there that says the Lakers are much better with Trey Jemison on the floor. In fact, they were undefeated for about 8 games straight when he was in rotation. At this point, pulling him out of rotation, now we find ourselves on a losing streak. I don't know if there's a coincidence there or not, but we do need to try to get that player back on the floor and see if he can snap into some of that mojo that helps us win, however it does. So those are the 2 players I think the Lakers need to throw back into rotation. And if they find a way to put those players back in rotation, maybe it turns our fortune a little bit. I think a lot of what's wrong with the Lakers is the schedule has been really hard for them at this point to deal with. We've had 3 sets of back-to-backs in a matter of like 11 days. So that's very difficult just on anybody. But and you couple that with players who've been out of the lineup now being incorporated into the lineup fresh off injury, possibly finding themselves trying to rush back to fit what the timeline is for the rest of our season. And I just think that you put all that together and you have a bunch of lethargic basketball players on the floor who probably uninspired, done a lot of traveling as well when you consider the schedule and all of that. So it's a lot of things coming together to make the Lakers not what they need to be. But at the end of the day, we believe in our squad, but we have to find ways of pressing the right buttons with the unit so you can get the most out of it. And I think right now, JJ and the gang are not necessarily doing that. So that's really my point of view on the situation. I just want to see the Lakers try some different things with the rotation. The schedule's not going to let up. We got about 1 day of rest between the next 2 games, and then 1 day of rest after that for a game furthermore. So it's going to continue to be a stretch trying to find ways of getting rest on this road trip. And throughout the course of the rest of the season, we're not going to have any rest until probably another week and a half from now, where we'll get 2 days or 3 days in between a game before the Houston Rockets, I believe it is. So yeah, man, guys just got to find ways of keeping fresh bodies on the floor, staying motivated in the Eastern Conference as we continue to go through these struggles, and hopefully we can try to snap into our team defensive principles that allow for us to be as good of a defense as people said we were before the injuries hit. So it's rather important that the Lakers get their continuity together, not rush people back in, and those who are rushing back not be asked to do too much, which I think has been going on with Bron and Rui specifically. So that's really my point of view on things. I don't know if I got it necessarily all pegged, but I do know that we've had struggles. One thing we haven't mentioned on this channel is how bad our third quarters have been over these last 2 games. We're getting blown out in third quarters coming out of that locker room. So we got to figure out ways of staying, focused throughout the course of 4 quarters, and most importantly, out of the locker room, keeping that same momentum that ultimately keeps us close in games, and then ultimately we lose. So that's really what I have to say, man. We'll talk more. Don't have as much time to speak right now. I'm sure the guy is about 1.5 minutes away. So yeah, just want everybody to just, stay with the team, man. Don't lose confidence. Don't lose focus. We knew who we were just 2 weeks ago before these injuries hit. We just got to find ways of getting healthy and fresh. The continuity needs to be there. And hopefully our guys are sneaking opportunities to get rest and practices in, because both of those things are very important in trying to build continuity. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I appreciate everybody for rocking with BDF 44, and I'm out.